have a confession. And I'm not sure when this happened, or if it's something that's always been there. But it's something that some of my siblings sometimes have, and my dad almost never has. And that's an adrenaline side. It's a true, just love of adrenaline kicks. And it means that I seek out certain types of opportunities that other people don't always understand. A few years ago, that led me to go skydiving. For me, skydiving was a no-brainer. It was my birthday, it was on my bucket list, I had a friend that wanted to go with me, and it sounded exciting because it's skydiving, and skydiving is inherently exciting. And the more I've grown and experienced since then, the more I realized that I actually live my life like I'm always skydiving. So there's a couple steps between that initial conversation and actually that adrenaline kick. And the first one is really easy. It's just saying, I want to go skydiving. And it's raising your hand and saying, you know what, this is an experience I want to have. And maybe you tell a sibling, or you tell a parent, you tell a friend, or maybe you just promise that to yourself. And remember, not every decision is right for everyone, and that's okay. Because the decisions we face and our ability to face them reflect who we are and what we believe is right and wrong for us. And there are a million factors at play when we make decisions, some that we're going to know, and millions more that we'll never even know took part in it. And in every instance, when we look at a situation as an opportunity, part of us immediately commits to making it happen, and to driving that forward. And every situation is going to have its own standard of success. When we're faced with an opportunity, our internal instinct is immediately to strive for that standard, whatever that is. And our standard of success can really only be applied to us. Of course, we don't actually do that. We take our standards and we use them to look at other people all the time, whether it's friendships or relationships, business ventures, romantic ventures. We look at others and we use our filter and our perception to judge just how successful they are. Now here's the thing. With skydiving, if you say you've been skydiving, it's going to pretty much mean the same thing to everybody. So when you say you've been skydiving, it can mean this, but to me, it also means that you've gone through the process that I'm outlining. So anytime you're in a decision, there's a couple ways that you interact with that decision. Sometimes you're the driving force. You're the one that has the idea, that gets really excited about it, that seeks out others to go with you, that is just the force behind it. Other times, you're going to be an active or a passive participant. With the right people and the right time and the right circumstance, you do it. You don't really know how you got there, but you're there, why not? Other times, you're going to be a quiet observer. The opportunity isn't for you, and it's not necessarily a decision that you'd make, but you're okay with someone else making it. And other times, we're going to be the naysayer. We're going to say, not only is this opportunity not for us, but I think it's a horrible idea, and I don't even know if I want to be friends with you for doing it. That's just ridiculous. And at times, we're actually going to play all of these roles for different people and in different situations and in different moments of our lives. And our decision to be passive or active will tell us what we believe is right and wrong, and will tell us which direction we're heading. I consider myself unbelievably lucky that while my dad would never go skydiving, he also has never prevented me from going skydiving or made any attempt to discourage my adventures. Now, assuming that we've all decided to go on this particular skydiving adventure, the next step is picking a location and learning how to skydive. And this is an action step. This is the transition moment between saying and committing. In skydiving, that means taking a class on the steps of skydiving. It means understanding when you're going to jump and your altitude and how to pull your parachute cord. In starting a business, it's going to mean identifying a problem, creating a business plan, naming your company, doing research, talking to potential customers, to your customers. In the search for the love of our lives, maybe that's signing up for an online dating site or talking to that cute guy across the room. Whatever this context, it's actively seeking out information to apply to your next steps. And people will arrive at these opportunities in any number of ways. But for me personally, I've always said the difference between a situation and an opportunity is your ability to take it, right? So a situation is only an opportunity when you're prepared to move forward. So this is the moment that you get to do the work it takes to succeed. And you get to make it happen. So now we've made a decision, we've picked a location, we've taken safety classes and put on our parachutes. And until now, a lot of outside factors have been helping drive us forward. And that's important because it's important to feel love and support and have people that will tell you when you're getting off track and then help you get back on track. But this is the moment that only you get to do, because this is when we board the plane, and no one else can ever do this for us. We're not in a classroom anymore. We're not in a simulator. We're not talking about doing it. We're like actually walking towards a plane. And we're crazy enough to believe that we're actually going to get on that plane. And we couldn't be more excited. Terrified, but excited. But it's kind of terrified that you feel right before you rise to a challenge. And it's the most important step because it's the step you can't fake. No one can do this for you. So here's the thing. There are times we're going to get to this point and we're going to decide, you know what? I'm not actually getting on that plane. And maybe I had a goal, and in the pursuit of that goal, I decided, there's another goal. I'm going to go after that one instead. And maybe we did the work, and we realized that as we did the work, what we thought was an opportunity wasn't really an opportunity at all. Maybe we never did the work. Maybe we never really wanted to be there in the first place. And whatever the situation is, whether you're moving forward or stepping aside, we have to live with this decision. For a really long time, I also thought I had to be comfortable with that decision, and I realized you absolutely do not have to be comfortable with that decision, because there are goals I haven't met, and it sucks. And rather than being comfortable with failure or with not performing, not getting on the plane, I use these moments as learning opportunities. And I spend a significant amount of time to understand, why didn't I perform? What kept me from doing what I said I was going to do? Every decision we make, every time we go skydiving, we learn about ourselves. And often, hopefully, and more often than not, we do get on that plane. And we all know what happens next. The plane will take off, and we're going to get to jump. And if you've ever been skydiving, you know that this is the moment for why you go skydiving. It's that free fall. It's the I can fly feeling mixed with the what on earth was I thinking feeling. And it's awesome. It's, again, still terrifying, but it's awesome because we did it. We didn't just say we were going to go skydiving. We actually went skydiving. We did the research. We found a place. Maybe we got a friend to go with us. We did the work in getting there. And after all of that, we jumped. But here's the thing. There are times when even after we've done all that work and we've taken all the right steps on the runway and we've even boarded the plane, that we don't jump. We hold on to the idea that the plane is going to land whether or not we jump, and maybe we can ride back down with the pilot. To the outside world, we will have done everything right. We followed the path, we did the work, but to ourselves, and this isn't easy to admit, to ourselves, we never really committed. It's the student that claimed to get A's on her homework and did the study guide, and yet sleeps through the final. It's the man that courts his crush, asks her on a date, and she says yes, and he stands her up. It's the entrepreneur that works a 9-to-5 job and a 5-to-9 job. He talks the lingo, he complains about the stress, but he never makes a plan to quit his old job. The problem is, when you go skydiving, you can't go 60%. Literally, you either got out of the plane or you didn't. And it's true that not all situations are black and white, but skydiving is. And sometimes, on the way down, things are going to happen that we didn't see. There are unfortunately malfunctions, and there's human error, and there's accidents and mistakes, but that isn't us giving it 60%. That's circumstance. That's stuff we can't control. Actual skydiving isn't for everyone. I know that. I've said that. But everyone has their own version of skydiving. It's that thing that's calling you to try it, to experience it, or to own it. That's your personal version of skydiving. When we decide that what we're going to go after, we also have to decide to commit 100%. Not just say we're going to do it, but actually going out and doing it. It's making the decision, it's doing the work, it's performing when the time comes. Some experiences will be means to bigger ends, and others will be the end to themselves. All of them will still follow this same path. And there are times I've been more scared of success than failure, because it's really scary to level up. With jobs, or with friends, or with relationships, there's risk in taking action because action changes the status quo. But when we view something as an opportunity rather than a risk, changing the status quo is worth it. Yet we make excuses for only giving 60%. I'm busy. I don't have the time, the resources, the support. I'm focusing on something else right now. I might make a mistake. I'm not ready. I know you're still telling me that I'm ready, but you're wrong. And because I've decided you're wrong, you are. Because if I don't commit to jumping, I'm never going to jump. And giving 60% doesn't even feel good. The excuses we make for why we don't do something and why it didn't happen just help to pad the impact of having not accomplished what we said we would do. So in the same ways that we have to commit to being honest with ourselves, if we ever really said we were going to succeed, we also have to be honest about how we feel towards that commitment. The last stage of skydiving is landing. And this is when we get to catch our breath, and a couple of things happen. Mostly, you decide if you loved it or you hated it. And with skydiving, there is absolutely nothing in between. If we love it, we can set ourselves on a path to do it again. We go skydiving again. I'm going again this spring with new friends, a new location, for a new experience. If your skydiving adventure was starting and selling a company, you start a new startup. You go back to ground zero. Or if you love it, you set your sights on a new challenge and you push yourself a little bit further. This time we'll go hang gliding, which I did a few years ago. We'll go bungee jumping, which I hope to do this coming year. Maybe you're looking for a new position or a new accolade within your company. Now, if you hated it, that's actually just as good because we learned something. We said, you know what, I thought this was for me, but it's not, and now I know that. So maybe you thought you wanted to work for a startup company and you wanted a ping pong table in your office and you wanted flexible hours, but you realized you actually like having a separation between your work life and your personal life. No matter the outcome, we did learn every step along the way. We learn when we make a decision and when we set a goal. We learn when we do the research. We learn when we commit to putting our knowledge in motion, to boarding the plane and to jumping. We learn when we experience the rush of actually falling, right? Of the free fall. And we learn when we feel the impact of landing. Each step has its own potential opportunities and risks. And each step will have its own potential rewards and dangers. But in life and in relationships and business, it's the culmination of each of these steps that will move us forward. We can't go 60% skydiving or give 60% of ourselves and rise to 100% level of success. So come with me. Come skydiving.